Mhm.
Hello and welcome to a Tuesday edition of the Managing Madrid Podcast. I'm your host, Kiyan Sobhani, joined by Lucas Navarrete. I'm back in Canada where it's much cooler. A surprising 30-degree daily thing was happening in Madrid this past week, and beanie weather here in Canada. So I'm back in Canada. It's the international break. There are plenty of talking points that we can still discuss despite the international break. And this is our version of El Dia Después, where Lucas joins me to talk about the game in a refreshed manner. A couple days, sometimes day after a Real Madrid game. So we're recording this 2 days after Real Madrid beat Osasuna 4-0. The post-game show is no doubt up, and you probably already listened to it. So if you want it more detailed, tactical analysis, the night of the game that happened on was it we played Saturday night, right? Yeah. So actually
Yeah.
we're actually 3 days removed from the game.
Yeah.
Lucas, I wanted to welcome you to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me. Happy to see you again.
Did we speak since Dame got traded?
Oh, yeah. I'm
We
pretty sure
did.
we did. We probably missed on the talk. Like, we didn't talk about it, but yeah. I'm pretty sure we did. Like, last Friday or Thursday, I'm sure that the trade was already complete, right?
Are you shaking in your boots over there in Denver?
Nah, not really. I'm actually more afraid of Boston
What a
right
pickup for
now.
getting Drew.
Yeah. Really good one. In fact, I actually think that maybe Milwaukee don't pull the trigger if they know when it's going to end up getting Holiday in this one, because now they have like two players to chase around Dame for 48 minutes. So it's a pretty good team, but they will be good. Yeah.
It kind of made for a good story that he ended up in Boston. Just like now you have like the clear
Yeah.
top two teams in the East who are going to battle it out. So it kind of made it fun for the story. All right, before people log off, we're going to wrap up the basketball talk. We're going to jump into some Real Madrid discussion. I have three talking points. It includes Eden Hazard, and it also includes some interesting quotes from Jose Manuel Otero, Real Madrid's board member today. But we're going to start with reflections from the game against Osasuna. Where do you want to start with that one, Lucas?
Very manageable and good win for Madrid. Really happy to see the team like cruise past Osasuna for the entirety of the game, making it like fairly easy after just a few minutes. So it's always good to get a few easy ones like this one. Expected a little bit more from Osasuna, but they've been struggling a little bit more this season. So overall, a very good win for Madrid. Not because it was a convincing win, but because of the manner in which it was produced. It was easy, it was calm, and nothing to worry about or anything else. My main takeaway coming out of the gate is that maybe this diamond works better with Joselu up there instead of having both Vinicius and Rodrygo there. Maybe the team actually needs a pure striker in that formation, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, the thing with that too is that it's compounded by the fact that Rodrygo is not in form. So when if he's playing better, maybe the conversation is a little bit different. Then we can say, okay, this is working, because heading into the season, based on talent on paper, I think Rodrygo is superior to Joselu. But there is something that Joselu is bringing right now as a target in the box, and someone that's really difficult to defend because he pulls away so many defenders with him because he's so hard to stop in the air. It kind of frees up space for others, and obviously, as we talked about, gives Bellingham and Vinicius a target to hit. Yeah, honestly, like this is of all the El Dia Despueses to talk about. It's like for a game like this it as you said, it was um like I guess the word I'd use is comfortable, but also just good. Like there's nothing wrong with the performance. I can really nitpick. I mean, the first half was a lot about controlling the ball and controlling the tempo and getting into good spots offensively. And the second half, we just blew them away because they had to chase the game and they had to open up space. This has been discussed to death. Carlo talked about it after the game. Ewan and I talked about it. Osasuna's record against Real Madrid is actually statistically the worst of any opponent in the last 12 years. Real Madrid haven't lost to them in 12 years. And they were quite frankly really bad also at the Bernabeu, in addition to Real Madrid being quite good. So these are all, great performances, or good performances rather, that we'll take, because it's just 3 points and it's more confidence, and Jude continues to be Jude. And a lot of these conversations, I feel like for now, are a bit repetitive. The people are asking the same questions. Can Jude sustain the scoring? What's wrong with Rodrygo? Um, can our defense hold up? Who is going to partner Rudiger? Rudiger's yellow card situation, that's a little bit frightening heading into these next two games. I don't know what happens if, I guess we can talk about that. If there's any point in the game against Sevilla where we think like, okay, this is done, just take him off.
Yeah.
That would be a disaster if we lost him.
Yeah. Especially with Nacho out. Nacho looks like he's going to miss the Clásico as well. Real Madrid were initially hoping to see his ban reduced, but it doesn't seem that likely now. So, assuming Alaba comes back, which is fairly obvious and clear and likely at this point, yeah, Real Madrid will definitely need Rudiger to avoid a yellow card in Sevilla, which should not be easy. Sevilla will always play with intensity against Real Madrid, and while they've been like very poor so far this season, even so much that they sacked Mendilibar the other day. They will still be a very tough team to beat at the Pizjuan. So Rudiger will need to be careful, definitely.
Don't forget about the new manager bounce effect that teams
Right.
experience when getting a new manager. All of a sudden, like, oh, okay, we can do this. Listen, like I mentioned this to you and on Saturday night too, that I don't care how bad Sevilla are. Sanchez, Pizjuan. Do we already pencil in Sergio Ramos for a goal?
As long as it's an own goal, as the one he scored against Barcelona, I would
I
be
don't think
fine
we'll
with
have
that.
such luck. But think about, like,
Yeah.
he's still great getting on the end of, like, set pieces and crosses, which is what we're terrible at. We can't defend those.
Yeah.
So you can't, like, in terms of realistic options to score against us, I think he's at the top of the list. Of course, Mariano Diaz is also there now too. Um, so maybe we can pencil ourselves in for 2 goals down already. But yeah, like, this international break, there's not like that much talk about right now, and I don't like, with the international break games, like, there's only so much to discuss. I kind of watch them with one eye, but not with two full eyes. But when we get back, the international break ends. Those two games back to back are big, and actually, like, November in and of itself is a pretty tough schedule. October, sorry.
Yep.
Um, and then November, actually, it gets tough too, because you have Valencia, you have Napoli, and you have Rayo. So it's not going to be that, straightforward after the international break. Is there
Yep.
anything else from the game that you wanted to talk about?
Not really. I was going to say that about Rodrigo, that, like, I didn't actually miss his presence. His tweet after the game wasn't that encouraging to me. The fact that, he actually kind of proved how low of a confidence he has right now by actually posting that kind of tweet after a 4-0 win. So
What did he say exactly?
see now, I'm paraphrasing, but something along the lines like, with hard work I'll be able to regain my form, something along those lines. The fact that he actually tweeted that after the win is a bit concerning to me, because he should kind of know better, in the sense that this is a game of forms and different streaks, and even if it's not going well for him at the moment, he will definitely bounce back. But he actually said, things don't always play out the way I planned, but my hard work and dedication will always be there so that I can help this team. Real Madrid, thanks for the support, for your support always. So yeah, maybe
There's
thinking
nothing
too
wrong with
much
that.
about it. No, it's not wrong. It's just proof that he might be thinking too much about it. Don't you think? Like,
I mean, maybe it's just self-awareness and like, I think it's okay, it's cool to sometimes just communicate with the fans through a tweet, just to say like I didn't see anything like whether he expresses it or not. His feelings, I think internally and his self-awareness is the same. So even if he doesn't tweet it, he's probably still feeling those thoughts. So I don't know. I don't mind. I don't think there's anything worrying about the tweet other than like you said, it's an acknowledgement, a self-acknowledgement that, he's not at his best right now.
yeah,
Um, but like I said, like the complexion of this team changes if he gets going. It does completely. If you think about the fact that um this team has won all games but one. Before the season started, if you were to be told that
yeah,
we would
absolutely.
lose Courtois and Militao, Benzema's gone, and Vinicius would get injured for like a month, and you would have been told Real Madrid had won every single game except one and be at the top of the table. You would have just taken that and ran away with that, like sprinted and never looked back, because it's a great place to be in. So,
Yeah.
um, but but in addition to that, during a time where Rodrygo hasn't gotten going either. So it's not like Rodrygo stepped up to the plate with Vinicius' absence, right? So in a way, that's a good sign to me, because if we got this far with Jude basically carrying us, and obviously other really important pieces like Fedi's been awesome, Tchouameni's been awesome, etc. With the fact that we've gotten this far offensively with just Jude basically, and again, you don't take my words out of context. It's not really ever just one player. You know what I mean? But Vinicius and Rodrygo not being part of that picture yet fully, Vinicius is back now, obviously. That's a good sign, because if they get going, the ceiling can be taken to another level. So we just have to hope that Rodrygo gets going. Maybe the international break with Brazil will help him just maybe get into form, because he did score a couple goals on the last international break with Brazil. But if he just gets going a little bit, this will really change the complexion of the team's offense. So that's why I'm still like, while right now, based on merit and what they bring to the table, I believe Jose Lu should start over Rodrygo. I don't also think that necessarily that is a permanent situation.
Mm-hmm.
That could also change if Rodrygo gets going and starts
Yeah,
scoring. That
yeah,
could change.
yeah. I agree.
So when you saw Eden Hazard's Instagram post today that he retired, what were your thoughts?
I was first reminded of his presence and his existence for the first time in like 4 or 5 months. I didn't even know where he was at the moment. I didn't even know if he was playing or not. Or maybe he had signed for a Chinese team or whatever. I probably would have heard about it, but still, oh, right, Hazard. He hadn't retired by now. Oh, he's retiring now. Okay, fine. It's just a matter of. I've never been a huge fan of his, of not even of his game when he was at his peak, and obviously his signing for Madrid wasn't even. You can possibly label that as the worst signing in football history. Maybe I was thinking about this hours ago. Maybe alongside Coutinho for Barca, right there. It's a pretty tight battle, I think, for the top spot in that label or that title as worst signing in football history.
I think Hazard is worse.
I think it's close, but I lean towards Hazard being worse as well, and just based on appearances, probably. Like at least Coutinho got on the field so many times, right? Hazard was not.
It's for me, it's this, Lucas. It's that Hazard ended his career like this.
Right.
Coutinho, you know, no, I'm not saying it was amazing, but like he went to Bayern and scored against Barca on the 8-2. That was kind of fun. Uh, Obviously not fun for Barca, but I'm just saying, like, from a football perspective, which signing was worse? Hazard's career ended when he signed for Real Madrid. And I'm not
Absolutely.
going to go into blaming and whose fault that is, whatever, but that's, I guess, the difference between him and Coutinho is that Coutinho still had a little bit of a career after, and found a team that suited him a little bit as well at the time they
Yeah.
signed him. With Hazard, it's just that was it. The Meunier tackle finished him, and he never recovered from that. And again, I'm not going to get into whose fault that was. Was it his fault, the club's fault, Meunier's fault? I think everyone has a little bit of blame in this, including Hazard himself. But it's got to be the worst. I mean, if you factor in the price tag, and how
The
good
fact that he was going to be a free agent as well.
Yeah, that too. I look. The thing is, like, Lucas, when he announced that he retired today, I didn't think of anything to really say or anything, because when he left Real Madrid, which was a bit surprising this summer because we didn't think that they were going to be able to get him off the books. That was the retirement for me, and we said what we needed to say. So when he said he retired today, I was surprised. I was like, wait, he didn't retire yet? Because like he had that quote like a week ago where he's like, I'm going to enjoy life now. I was like, okay, well, that's retirement. Because we all know what he means. He just wants, like, every summer, his favorite thing to do was to eat and drink, right? And not train. And so that's why he came to every single beginning of every single season not in good physical shape. So now, let me just say this, Lucas. Eden, a plea to Eden. I know you listen to this podcast. Don't enjoy life too much. Enjoy it. I'm not saying don't enjoy it. Like, have a good time, man. We're on this floating rock for a very short amount of time before we die. Have fun, enjoy it, but don't go overboard, because you're getting older, and when you're older, it's just harder and harder to stay in shape. And every single shot, every single beer, every single burger is just a little bit harder to work off. So just pace yourself, man. Pace yourself.
You're totally right. His departure from Madrid was the de facto retirement for him. I even wondered if he actually got any offers from these minor leagues like China, MLS, Saudi Arabia.
He obviously didn't, right?
I'm guessing he didn't. I'm guessing he didn't. Yeah.
Because we
Maybe
wouldn't have
maybe
had
he
to
didn't
terminate
get
his
a
contract.
quality offer. Maybe he didn't get a quality offer. Like maybe he actually got one to play for like $500,000 and he didn't take that one.
Sure.
But yeah, it's he obviously retired as long as Real Madrid, as soon as Real Madrid terminated his contract. And remember the celebration in Cibeles, like the next year you're going to see. I promise you, the next year you're going to see the best version of me. I will work hard. Remember that one in the Champions League celebration? Man, that aged rather poorly.
Every summer, Lucas, including some winter transfer windows, we got this whole thing spoon fed to us. The new signing is Eden Hazard is in shape now. And by like the fourth or fifth time, we all just kind of rolled our eyes like, okay, this is not happening. Never played a single Clasico. Again, like we've already had.
Wow, that was wild. Yeah.
Yeah, when we got him off the books in the summer, we already did the podcast. We did the goodbye Eden thing. Like, again, there's nothing new to say over those past few months. I don't think there's any new developments. There's nothing new. There's not been this revelation of like why things went wrong. We already know what went wrong. He didn't take care of himself. It caught up to him as he got older. I tweeted today, and again, this is not really anything new. I just tweeted in 2019, I remember being at that Real Madrid PSG game, the 2-2, where Real Madrid dominated, but then they went up 2-0 and then they conceded a couple goals at the end of the group stages. And that was the game where we were like, we got something here. Like, finally, he's healthy. This is the best. This is one of the best players in the world. This is the guy who completely dominated the Premier League for the last 2 years at Chelsea. He's here. He's linking up with Benzema and Marcelo on the left wing. It looks incredible. He's toying with PSG. And then the Meunier tackle happened. I like in that moment being there watching the link up between him and Marcelo and Benzema, I just remember like this is special. This is something really, really fun that we can work with here. Little did I know, or did anyone know, that what we were watching that day was a blip, a fleeting moment that we would never see again. And that's what it was. That was the peak of it. The peak of the Eden Hazard Real Madrid experience was that game against PSG. And I will take this to my grave. The Meunier tackle, people say that ended Hazard. It did effectively, but it would have ended regardless. Like a player who doesn't take care of himself, he's just going to be more injury prone, and it's going to be harder to fight back and get into shape, regardless of that Meunier tackle. If it wasn't Meunier, it would have been something else. So I don't think we can, as unfortunate and disastrous as that moment was for Meunier to tackle him like that, we can also just say that I think it was probably destined to fail either way.
Yeah, I agree. And it's all down to his work ethic and his attitude. And reminds me a little bit of Othil. The fact that their peak was so good, yet their careers ended like very abruptly, and nobody actually wanted them, but in a reasonable age, right? When they were like, how old is Othil now? He must be like 33 or 34, and he's been away from the game like I was going to say for a decade, not for a decade, but for more 34. Than 5 or 6 years. For more than 6 years, he's been like pretty away from the game, right? He's been like,
he played in Turkey, obviously, but I don't.
Well, yeah, you know what I'm sure. saying. Yeah, from elite football, we're talking elite players here. We're talking like stars who don't belong in the Turkish league at age 30. It's pretty clear to me. Like these players should not be there at age 30, and reminds me a little bit of Othil, the Hazard arc, and how they went from huge and high quality players for 1-2 seasons, and then their decline was very steep, very obvious, and you can actually point at their lack of commitment, their lack of effort, and their lack of hard work for how soon and how early their careers actually went down. Reminds me a little bit of that, and the fact that these two never actually get along with Mourinho, who actually coached them both, is also interesting to me. Obviously, Mourinho prioritizes work ethic to an extent, maybe a little bit too much, but he coached both Hazard and Othil, and while Mourinho actually maximized Othil's potential, I mean, you could definitely argue that Othil...
Oh, he was unreal with Mourinho.
No, absolutely, but you know what I mean. He got a few arguments with him. Mourinho couldn't even stand him by his third season, but yeah, Mourinho actually squeezed the best out of Othil, while Othil was interested in the game and in actually, becoming the best player he could be. But the fact that Mourinho never actually managed to connect and click with these two players is interesting to me.
I don't really understand why players don't play the long game and just take care of themselves. It's a shame because you don't have to be elite forever. Like, I'm not saying you have to be, Luka Modric is a very, very rare exception of a footballer in that he was so good for so long and he took care of himself really well. Cristiano Ronaldo was another one. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is another one. There's a decent list, but it's a small group of people. But the short-term benefit of like eating more than you should, partying more than you should, not sleeping as much as you should, drinking more than you should, like all these things. This is very basic stuff. Like all these little short-term pleasures have huge long-term consequences. Like players who play the long game are at such a huge advantage, not only because they play at an elite level long, but they also get to go and have fun at a smaller league and make a lot of money after. Like if I was ever good enough to be a really good footballer and play at a professional level, I would be really excited about like the part of my career after 35 where I get to go to MLS and make a lot of money and live in Miami. Like, do you know how much fun Messi is having right now? Do you know how much fun Zlatan was having in LA? Like, that's got to be like one of the most fun things to look forward to in your career, is that part of it. But like Hazard never got to do that. Ronaldinho never got to do that because they didn't take care of themselves. Like, and it's a shame. Like, and that's why, like, that last payday, that last fun destination, where you can go to a league and just have a lot of fun, that's appealing to me.
Yep.
And so many great players never even got that far, which is a shame. And Hazard is one of them.
I don't feel sorry or sad about Hazard's retirement. I'm not. I saw a tweet from famous TV guy Cristobal Soria. You know him probably from El
The
Chiringuito,
Chiringuito guy.
making fun of Hazard with this song he actually sang in the show like 3 or 4 years ago. He kind of
Is he the
republished it.
culé?
Well, he's from Sevilla, but yeah, he
Okay.
leans towards Barcelona for sure. Mm, and he was making fun of Hazard, and the whole Real Madrid fan base got up in arms, saying, "Oh, you don't even respect." Well, it's not. First of all, it wasn't like that disrespectful. It was just mentioning Hazard's lack of work ethic and all that, and oh, you don't even respect Hazard in the day of his retirement and all that. I don't feel sorry for Hazard, man. He had this coming. He had this coming. I'm not happy either, but I'm not going to feel sorry or sad about his retirement or the way his career went down
Yeah, of
for the
course. I
last 4
mean,
or 5 years.
there are real people suffering with real problems. Hazard making millions and millions and millions
And not
at the
playing
best
and not
club in the
taking care of
world,
himself.
and playing in Madrid and training with the best players in the world is not at the top of the people we should feel sorry for, obviously. But I think it's just more of like, we as sport fans, we all just kind of get sad when a player doesn't realize his potential on a full scale. You know what I mean? Like,
Not
whether
me.
it's
For me, it depends on the reasons why
Mhm.
that happened. Right?
So if
And
it's self-inflicted, you feel like it,
if it's self-inflicted in a big chunk, like I realized that again, the tackle and the injury had something to do with it, but to me, Hazard had played a big part in his decline and the way his career went down. So, as it depends on how much this self-inflictment matters, but it definitely matters to me. Like and same goes for, again, maybe for Jose as well. And Jose had even worse luck than Hazard with his injury, right? He required 2 surgeries on that knee. He was just he actually never got to be the elite footballer Hazard was. So, but it's the same to me. People who don't seem to be putting football as their main priority. So I don't really feel sad or sympathetic about their careers and all that. It's just you had a chance to do better. You had a chance to be better. You had a chance to take care of yourself way better, to increase your chances of actually being relevant and actually keep playing even though you're still 32 years old. So I don't really feel any sympathy towards their careers.
one of the biggest what ifs in recent history is also what happens to Vinicius if Hazard is just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, like my hunt, like, to me, because we were all that summer when we signed Hazard, we were all theorizing like, how does this work? Because Vinicius was having a bit of a breakout season. He was like one of the only bright spots of that disastrous 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we were all kind of excited, like, this guy, okay, he can't finish, but he's like cooking Barca and Atletico with his dribbling, and he's just a kid. Like, this is really fun. Like, how can we get him and Hazard to coexist together? And a lot of people were like, okay, well, Vinicius has to go to the right. We now know in 2023, Vinicius just can't play on the right wing effectively, not nearly as effectively as the left wing. And even in a central role, he's not nearly as comfortable. So Hazard is the one who would have had to sacrifice in a more central role, I think. But I don't know how that would have worked necessarily. So luckily for Real Madrid fans, Hazard's loss is Vinicius' gain, and Vinicius has been lights out. So that aside, good luck, Eden. Thanks. It was unfortunate. No hard feelings.
Keep
honestly.
enjoying life.
Yeah, enjoy life, and we'll reflect on the great moments of your career, which were at Chelsea. So this was interesting today. Something I did not expect was to read an interview with Jose Manuel Otero in AS. Jose Manuel Otero was part of the Real Madrid board, like actively right now, not a former board member, not just like a socio, but like an actual board member. And he had some candid quotes. And that's kind of rare. You don't really get to see those candid quotes from someone on the inside. And I thought they were interesting and I wanted to run them by you. So here are some of the quotes, Lucas, and we can start wherever you want. But he spoke a lot about Mbappe, also about Bellingham, saying that, paraphrasing this one, but he said that Bellingham was expensive, yeah, but he was also cheap because you get what you pay for. And it's like, buying a Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce, very expensive, but it's expensive for a reason. You get what you pay for. And Bellingham was of that ilk. But here's a couple quotes about Mbappe. He said, "We hope that Mbappe has thought the same as Bellingham. Mbappe, I trust he will come. Madrid guarantees security, a seriousness that gives results. I trust he will say yes when he is a free agent. Mbappe was born to play at Real Madrid." And where's the other quote? Did I close it? So he said a few things. I closed it, but I posted on my Twitter, so I can just grab it from my Twitter really quick. He said about this summer what happened with Mbappe, which to me really outlines why this whole summer was more of like a hysteria than a real thing. The quote is, "For Mbappe to come this summer, he would have had to have given up some very high bonuses that he had already agreed with PSG. Furthermore, there would have been a transfer fee. The amount that would be paid to sign Mbappe a year earlier was crazy. It didn't make sense to sign Mbappe a year earlier, even with Benzema's departure." So I just wanted to throw that out to you, Lucas. There's a couple other things too, but like just the idea of that when you see it that way, and we kind of already knew this, that it was just going to be really hard to sign Mbappe this summer because of those bonuses.
I wouldn't read that much into it, if I'm being honest. The fact that a member of the board is going in a small, I mean, not disrespect whatsoever, but small Twitch Twitch stream to discuss these things is a little bit weird to me. It's even like I don't think the club would allow this. I don't think the club would give him permission to.
That's what I thought, but I mean,
thing.
they obviously did. Like he wouldn't do this, I think, without the club knowing. I mean, that would be.
Then to me, it's even more strange because then I have to wonder why that Twitch stream. Maybe he just knew the guy or whatever. I long story short, I wouldn't read that much into it if I'm being totally and complete honest. This is a member of the board. The board is big. Obviously, they know some things, but I don't really believe they know all the details of what happens behind the scenes during negotiations and all that. It's just I wouldn't read that much into it, even though he's right in his analysis of what happened in the summer. Like we've talked about this for many weeks now, that it didn't make any sense for any of the parts involved to complete the signing and to have Mbappe playing for Real Madrid. It didn't make sense for Mbappe, who would be turning down a lot of money, and it wouldn't make sense for Real Madrid, who would be spending 200 million for one extra season of Mbappe, with obviously the guarantee that he would be around for many years, a guarantee that you don't have right now and that you would have to fight for during the winter and during the spring. But I said it back in the day that it didn't make that much sense to me. The last summer for Mbappe didn't make any sense to me, and his analysis is right. I'm just his knowledge of the situation and his prediction of what's going to happen with Mbappe. I wouldn't read that much into it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm not shocked about like what he said is not. I actually agree with everything he says here.
Me too.
I'm not I'm not being informed of anything new here. What I'm more surprised about is that someone on the Real Madrid board actually went out and spoke about this publicly.
Yeah.
Because everyone who works for Real Madrid is an employee of Real Madrid. is generally not really allowed to talk about this stuff. They're not allowed to like have this green light of like go have like media interviews. Everything is very regulated.
They're not even allowed to talk about injuries. Like if you go and ask a Real Madrid employee when is Alaba coming back, they're not allowed to say a single thing, and it's a way simpler and way easier thing to discuss than the Mbappe saga. So I don't know. I think he went out of his way, man. I think he stepped out of bounds with this one. I don't think the club gave him permission to do such thing.
Well, we'll come back to that in a second. I just want to say one more thing about Mbappe is that I said this in the summertime. Like I was very clear about this because like we kind of knew like what was happening within Real Madrid with this situation, and it was that they never made contact with him or PSG and tried to make a deal happen. Everything was fabricated. It was media hysteria, and at the time and in hindsight now, certain media members coming out and guaranteeing their salary, saying that this deal is done, was just so ridiculous. It was just like so many things, and then fans ultimately got disappointed and angry about a failed signing that was never even real, and that's what I think. The hysteria was out of control this summer. Having said that, of course, this is refueled again with even things like, well, he'll just come for free next summer. People on Real Madrid board members saying that he'll come for free next summer is just adds more to it. And this story is predictably not going away anytime soon. But here's like out of all the things he said, the one that I thought was the most like, wow, like be careful with this was this one. He says, quote, Mbappe is better suited to Real Madrid's game than Haaland. Haaland demands that the entire team play for him so that he can score. That enclosed team sometimes scores a goal. Madrid has to open the defenses with tremendously skilled players. Why would you even
the club didn't give him permission for this, man.
Well, then
not even Florentino himself.
I don't even know what to say with regards to this. Like this is insane. Like because again, you're on the board, right? So you're probably, if you're getting a green light to do this interview, I guess I have a lot of questions. My question is like, when this guy goes back to the board meeting like tomorrow, like, are they like, yo, what the fuck was this? Well, why did you gave an interview and say this shit? Because like when you're on the board and you say this, even though maybe you're not actually speaking for the club publicly. Publicly, the perception is like, whoa, this guy on the board just basically closed the door to Haaland. Like he's saying Haaland doesn't suit us, Mbappe does. So when you're Haaland and you're reading that, you're like, oh, okay, well, they don't want me then. Okay, cool. I can't play against low blocks. Okay, cool. You need someone who can do more against close teams. Okay, cool. Like what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
There's no chance the club gave him permission to do this. My guess is that he just was too naive and maybe didn't expect this to gain as much traction as it did on social media and now on the national press, and he just wanted to help a friend or someone he knew with the Twitch stream or whatever. And didn't actually, and he actually maybe discussed things as a fan and didn't expect people to take his word as a member of the board. But obviously you have to be a bit naive,
but
for you to believe that.
Yeah,
no, of course, like, but there's no way the club gave him permission to say such things, to openly discuss whether or not Haalaand or Mbappe would be more appropriate for Real Madrid. There's just no way the club gave him permission to do this. No way.
Tomorrow, article in The Athletic. Real Madrid are fired board
member of the board. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. But I do wonder, like, what does that discussion look like when he goes back? Are they like reprimanding him? Are they saying, why did you say that? Like, are you trying to reflect our stance on Haaland? Because the other scenario, the other like possibility is Real Madrid told him to go say this, which is the more unrealistic scenario to believe, right? The more realistic scenario is like he gave this interview naively, and
Yeah.
I guess I'm just curious and like what that looks like when he gets back. Okay.
The quote unquote Real Madrid sent him to a small Twitch stream to let the club's feelings be known about some different topics is not realistic at all to me. If the club wanted to do that, they have many other channels and different ways of letting their feelings leak and know, rather than a small Twitch stream. And again, no disrespect to the Twitch stream, we would happily, gladly have Jose Manuel Otero here in our podcast to answer and have some discussions about the state of affairs here in Real Madrid. So this is definitely no shade on the tweet on Remontada Blanca, I think it's called. This is no shade on them. It's just the fact that, like, nobody has heard about him in the past. At least I haven't. So there's just no way the club actually sent Jose Manuel Otero to discuss these things on a local Twitch stream. No way. He just naively went there and discussed some things as a fan. Maybe some small details and knowledge of the situation slipped here and there, but I wouldn't read that much into his predictions or whatever, if I'm being honest.
Otero, great work, great quotes. This was brilliant. We'd be happy to have you on the podcast. But again, it was just surprising. But like I said, like I don't really fundamentally like have disagreements with what he said. It was more just surprising.
Oh yeah.
I also think, like, again, Haaland or Mbappe and getting into that debate was silly. Yeah. Anything else you want to discuss on this fine Tuesday?
Not really. I think we covered it all. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just some housekeeping. Tomorrow is live call day on Wednesday. So then on Thursday, Lucas and I will do a mailbag.
Friday, probably.
Friday, okay.
Heads
so
up, yeah.
At some point this week, we'll do a mailbag. And there's some other stuff that I can't think about right now. The international break is covered. Every player is covered on the website. So Fede Valverde, Rodrygo, Bellingham, Modric, Rudiger, Vinicius. Oh, that's right. Vinicius is back.
Kepa, Carvajal, Fran, I think.
Yep, the Spanish guys. Joselu,
right?
And whoever else we're forgetting. Fede Valverde was
Tchouaméni, Camavinga.
Tchouaméni and Camavinga. All these players are assigned and will be covered on managingmadrid.com. So keep it locked if you want to see some analysis on their performances after their respective games. One big one on the calendar of this international break is Uruguay versus Brazil. So we'll see Fede versus Vinny and Rodrygo. That'll be fun. And obviously it's a World Cup qualifier in Uruguay between two massive teams. So, like, it's going to be a banger regardless.
Yep.
That'll be fun. And all those episodes this week are over on patreon.com/managingmadrid. So if you want access to all those, go there. You can also go on YouTube memberships. If you go on the membership tab, you can sign up that way as well. So please become a member and you won't miss any content that way. Lucas, this was a lot of fun and I appreciate your time and we'll chat soon. Thanks, buddy. Take care.
Yes, sir. You too.